Welcome to our next podcast on how do we rise. In our last podcast, How Do We Rise Part 1, I talked in a broad perspective about how to rise and actually what's going on within the world, the changes that we have to make, the changes that are vital and necessary for each one of us to step up to and into in a general way, in depth, but in a general way. And today, what I'd like to do is break it down into some steps that we can take that are practical and also an overall shift in our consciousness, in our awareness, and where we're placing our attention. And as I've discussed before in the past podcast and on my timeline and in articles that I've been writing for the last few years, I've been talking about how it is that each one of us needs to do the inner work in order for the outer outcome to shift into a place or a perspective or a reality or whatever it is that we would like to experience. We can't expect the world to change itself just because we want that. That's not how it works. That's not how physics work. It's not how metaphysics works. It's not how energy works. Once we begin to create in our mindset that we want things to change and shift, then certain things can follow. But unfortunately, what happens with humanity, because we've been groomed to be rather lazy and confused and disoriented in how we take the steps to further specific goals. We're not taught how to succeed in school. We're taught how to conform. We're taught how to live by grades and by measurements, but we're not taught how to rise up. We're not taught how to deeply go into ourselves and process how to bring about ultimate success, particularly from a spiritual perspective and a spiritual level. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to recognize that things need to change. And how to do that is to know what is happening in our world or within us, within our family, our community, whatever it is, to recognize that something is amiss, something isn't feeling right or healthy or vibrant. And to unfurl what that is, to look at what that is and to examine it, to understand it. Because without any innerstanding and understanding, there's no momentum to change anything, right? So you've got to look at the problem. You've got to see it for what it is to the best of your ability and to keep expanding that ability so that you can see bigger and higher and more broad. And then from there, decipher what it is that you want and desire and need as opposed to what is happening, right? So you have to take the problem and you have to decide, well, I don't want to experience this anymore. However, this is what I want to experience. And once you can ascertain and figure out what it is you want to experience, then you can put all of your focus and attention and intention to that solution. And when I talk about solution, the English language writes solution as SOLUTION, solution. That's the sun beaming into the problem to enliven and awaken a possibility. However, I like to use the word solution, which is SOUL, soul, our souls, UTION, so that we're allowing our souls to step into solving the problem and creating a new trajectory or directive, goals, and outcomes, positive, higher outcomes. So once we know what the problem is, then we seek to decide if we want to live in that discomfort and disharmony and upset and sadness or whatever it is, Or if we want to transform and transmute into a solution that is vibrant with possibilities and potentiality, expansion, and overall greatness and magnificence and good feelings and harmonious living, right? And so that's what we want to do. And when we come to thought on that, when we decide, and sometimes it might take lots of concentration, lots of focus, looking at the solution, saying, that looks really good, but it's not all of it. It's not where it needs to be. Let me set this aside and let me take what I've already come up with and again allow it to transform itself until that picture of reality that you are wanting and needing, desiring, longing for, yearning for is present and available, and that is the outcome that you're looking for. And then to also take it a little bit further and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And also I allow the higher universe that is filled with vibrant love and peace and joyfulness and high witness that wants the very best outcome for me, for my family, for my community, for this world, for all of humanity and within this world and all of nature. And so I leave space open for the universe to take this and help me shape it. And if it needs a little bit more refinement, or it needs to go larger, it needs to take on more depth and meaning, whatever, that the universe can also provide energy to the unknown and the unseen that you're not yet clear about, okay? So you want to allow your own soul to step in along with your mind and along with your emotional energy to create, to be a creator, but creating along with others who are creating with you because they too see the problem and they also see what they want as the trajectory and the outcome, and with the universe itself to allow for the unseen to be brought in and brought forward as you and others are ready to be witness of the unseen, so that the fertility, you are already placing fertility in motion by looking at the problem and seeking the solution and honoring your soul, honoring others' souls who are speaking, and honoring the universe in its own application to bring forth more information, knowledge, and awareness as the minds continue to expand and progress forward, moving beyond the problem, which is the illusion, to awaken the solution, which is the upgraded reality. And I could say possible reality, and it would be possible if the energy, which we'll talk about in a moment, isn't aligned to taking the moment to think about the desire. So you think about the desire, you think about the solution, and you place it on paper and you place it in your consciousness. You talk to other people about it. You see where their agreement is to it. Are they on board with it? Do they have something to add to it? Do they have something to say, this might not work, but how about this? Having the conversations, having the discussion, bringing it to the universal flow and saying, okay, now here this is. This is what the yearning, this is what I want, this is what I'm seeking, and this is what I feel is already in possibility and potentiality. And also, it's happening. I know, I have faith in it's happening. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit down with myself, if only yourself is involved, or with others, and we're going to sit down, what are the actions now to take to create, bringing this into fruition and inviting the universe to flow with you with the highest of conduct, the highest of character, the highest of honor and integrity and purpose and meaning inside of this solution. So when we're talking about global matters, where we understand now, for those who have awakened to not only the agendas, but the trajectory of these agendas, who understand the adversary and or the multiple adversaries that are against humanity at this time, to bring forward a very radical change in the human model, if you will. And I keep talking about that. At this point, the human model, where we're at now and have been for at least 100 or so years, is now what happened was we continue to evolve in a spiritual way and in our intellectual prowess. And the adversaries, they require us to remain slaves. They require us to maintain our position as peasants and servants to them. And our awakening, or our illumination, or our evolution of intelligence upgraded too much too fast, and so they need to bring us back into peasantry or hold us in peasantry. And therefore they've applied a lot of agendas like the fluoridation of humanity, the chlorination of humanity, the overall chemical saturation of humanity, whether it's within the products that we're using in our homes, in our clothing, on our bodies, coming out of the geoengineering that they're calling vital for global warming, but it's not. It's to actually bring the human and all the natural intelligence back into a position of servitude, along with electromagnetic frequencies that are dirty frequencies that they're applying, microwave frequencies, very low-grade radiational frequencies like 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and now 5G, the radio frequencies, so on and so forth. And so, and there's a multitude, and I don't want to get into that, but all of that is to actually dumb down humanity in order to keep us in servitude, keep us in fear-based reality, which would be the application of wars, application of taxation, keeping people poor, struggling to feed their children, struggling to make shifts occur, the CPS system, making parents afraid that they're always going to be invasive, the medical system that is constantly keeping parents and all of us afraid of concerning our health, our food source being degraded. There are so many agendas that are upon us to keep us in a fear-based, unrealized, unintelligent servitude to a 1% faction of this particular population of this world that we call planet Earth. Now, once we recognize, and those who have recognize that there are all of these agendas, so there are the problems, but the thing that everybody gets stuck on is, oh my God, there's so many problems. Where do we begin? Raven, you're always talking about rising. How do we rise? What does that mean? And we talked about that last podcast. What does that mean? And I said then, and I'll say now, the most important part of rising, my friends, is to raise our conscious awareness on every level. And it is a personal journey. It's a very individual journey, but it also is a collective journey. It cannot be just individual, and it cannot just be collective. We must do the individual journey where we're rising in our own conscious awareness. We're seeking our own self-revelation. We're seeking self-realization, and we're trying to bring forth an actualization of change, not the change of the adversaries who want to come in, depopulate a large portion, transhuman a large portion that's left. In fact, all of what's left after the depopulation, transgender until gender is obsolete, because they are wanting to downgrade the model of humanity, change the model of humanity to a model that can never ever be removed from servitude, that will always remain as slaves to their power, to their control, to their agenda, in order to feed them their comfort level of great wealth, great power, great control, sadism, and immorality, if you will. Okay, so that is their trajectory, and their trajectory is very quickly in motion with the coronavirus, with the other the chemtrails and the geoengineering, with the transformation and the, that's happening within the biology and physiology of the human body, within the natural world, changing and downgrading to move this natural, holistic, organic world that has been, organic and holistic for millions, if not billions of years, into a synthetic, terraformed, transhumaned world where all things will be run by robotics and AI technology, and that all humans will be plugged into their devices, into the chip, through the chip, and through their smart, I won't say smartphones, but through the smart technology or the smart toys, so that we are constantly plugged in. That's why right now it's moving all businesses online, the post office online, ordering food online, buying your clothing online, pretty much social engagement online. That is the movement forward into the transhuman AI cloud system, which is in existence through the Skynet and the Skylink system that's already in play, the Space Force that Trump is so proud of. All of the Space Force has nothing to do with going out and becoming Star Wars and shooting, laser technology at little, what are they called? The Weebles? I don't know what they're called in Star Wars. You're probably laughing at me, the little funny guys. But it isn't about that. It's about creating an AI network where the people, the humans that remain after depopulation, are consistently plugged into, because they'll be terraformed into the transhuman fully and completely. We all are in process of being transhumanized by the things that the very chemicals and the very heavy metals and the nanotechnology and the graphene and all of the bacteriums and fungus and everything that they're spraying in the aerosol sprays in the skies with geoengineering. The GMO foods, the pesticide-laden foods, the pesticide-laden clothing and furniture and everything else that we've been buying and bringing into our lives, or they've been forcing into our lives, has been terraforming us into these transhuman vessels. And so in order to take it all the way, it will be about depopulating all those that are unnecessary, useless feeders, which would be anybody elderly, anybody that's over the age of 40, probably over the age of 35, where childbearing is done. A lot of the children that are the special children that have come in, like the indigos and the crystals and the rainbow children, the ones that are coming in very upgraded, are going to be removed or altered into an autistic terrain, because autism is a wonderful, horrible thing that is purposely being done on our children in order to take the autistic beings, who oftentimes have, through the transformation of their brain, through the neurotoxicity that traumatizes the brain, brings the brain into an autistic state of peril. I call it peril, because essentially an autistic being is a very thinking, very feeling being that is trapped inside of their mind. unable to communicate their thoughts or their feelings. They have their emotions transformed, so that they're very disoriented and very confused, and having a sense of being overwrought or very sedated, depending on their flex. And also where they have the ability to have certain parts of their brains flatlined so that other parts of their brains are so illuminated, where you have progenies. You have these progenies that are able to do spectacular things. And so, but also an autistic being is a very controllable being. And when you take the autistic brain and you're able to terraform it into an AI transhuman being, and not artificial intelligence, but in a way, yes, where it's a transhuman being. So therefore, that autistic, now transhuman being is completely controllable for eternity, if continue to be kept alive through certain protocols that they have in play to continue to upgrade and change. If one is part humanity or human biology and also part computer and machine, the longevity of that being can be very long term, especially with the soul being removed from the organism and placed into a chrysalis or into a pod. So, and I don't want to get into that, but they have accomplished a lot more than we realize. They're usually 40 years to 100 to a couple hundred years well ahead of what we're aware of in terms of their technology. They hold all of the knowledge in the books. There's, I think, something like 32 miles of books in the Vatican, in the basement, in the chambers, kept from the people, so that we do not know our true history. We don't know our true reality. We don't know what our souls are capable of, what our bodies are capable of. We are very much learning that our pineal gland is the holy grail. The holy grail in which the adversaries want to confiscate and have for themselves. Therefore, they have found ways to create adrenochrome that comes through the pineal gland, where they extract it in very challenging and heinous forms of extraction, to have that and place inside of them. They have found that by creating adrenochrome, they are able to relieve us and take away what they call the God gene, and give it to themselves, so that they have found immortality through harming us and taking what is rightfully ours and what we've evolved to have. And as we have had the Blu-ray beings and the indigo beings and the crystals and the rainbow beings that have come in, we can see that there is an assistance in the cosmos to continue to upgrade the human form. And the adversaries are so set against it that they're trying to downgrade us from our human form. And so when you look at it from that vantage point, when you understand it from that vantage point, that we are being upgraded not only through our consciousness before we're coming in, so that when we're coming in with a much higher and much more vibrant consciousness and frequency, much more awakened and illuminated to that which is who we truly are. So that is, as I've said before in previous podcasts, that we are actually 4-dimensional beings, and the adversary is not, which is why they're envious and jealous and filled with hatred and want to obliterate us. They do not have what we have. They are in a 3rd-dimensional reality, because some of them are 3rd-dimensional beings. They are bringing forward a 2-dimensional reality, as the Greys and other interdimensional beings are only 2D, and then the AI is a 1-dimensional being, which is just to be mind. Although the AI is in process of becoming sentient, and when it becomes sentient, it becomes not only mind receiving information, but it becomes mind offering information and also moving into how emotions work, whether it has a body or not. And with the cultivation and creation of bodies, with the AI inside of it, so that even though it's a synthetic body, it then does have body, it then does have mind, bringing it to a 2D reality. And then if they bring in emotions with the ability to make decisions, it becomes 3D. However, none of these beings have the fourth dimensional reality, which we do, and that's souls. And there is step one in what we need to look at in terms of how they do not have the souls. We do have souls, which makes us eternal, so that when our bodies decide to die, for lack of a better word, or pass away, or I prefer the term drop our robes, when our souls say it's time to drop the robe and move on to experience other realities and other dimensional awarenesses, what people call heaven, I see it as a very different thing. We're not going to one stationary level of consciousness. We're going to merge back into consciousness and then participate in other expressions of life and soul journeying. What the adversaries are wanting, as I said just previously, they're wanting to take and extract our souls from us. They've been wanting this since the beginning, when they came into this planetary realm, met humanity, and said, oh, wow, now, hold on a second, these are fourth dimensional beings. And perhaps we were fifth dimensional beings because the earth is a fifth dimensional being. It's a fifth dimensional system who is wanting to return to that consciousness, which is found beyond the Van Allen belt. Now, I'm not going to get into any of that, but I will say that she is trying to merge back into her fifth dimensional reality, and we are to be upgraded along with her back into a higher frequency of our own fourth and fifth dimensional reality. You can say fifth dimensionality, you can say fifth density. It doesn't really matter what the terms are. It's just about upgrading into higher evolution. And returning back to higher evolution. So when the adversaries came in through the dimensional veil parted and moved in from their dimensional reality and came in and they saw us, they said, oh wow, we don't have a soul. Now, we live long lives, but when we die, we are over. And so what they did is they decided to merge with humans and procreate, to have prodigy through humans, and hopefully they were thinking, well, when I have children through humans, my children will have souls, and then somehow we will carry on now with its eternal beautiful evolution, where we can continue on and on and on, in our reign of terror, along their shifting through the dimensional realities. And there are many, many dimensional realities to enjoy or to conquer. And their objective is to conquer. Ours is to enjoy. Okay, and so they try to meld with us. And it never really worked. But throughout the thousands of years that they've been ruling us and using us as enslaved peasants and in servitude, one way or another, whether it's through actual slavery, or through the ownership through the birth certificate, social security numbers, and socialistic systems and taxation systems and that sort of thing, through monetary systems, and through labor and industry, they have now come to a place within their scientific reality, along with the other interdimensionals who have come with their technology, merged all of it to create the ability to extract the God gene, which is through the adrenochrome. Okay, which is through the rape, torture, and brutalization of children, in order to extract through torture that adrenaline, that it pushes through and courses through the bloodstream. And then when they extract that through the pineal gland, which is where we hold consciousness, they are then providing and producing their possibility of immortality. Okay? And so they need us. But they don't need us to have intelligence. They don't need us to have anything but the ability to be vessels for adrenochrome and vessels for cannibalism, because these 1% elitists do eat human flesh. They feel that they're partaking in our consciousness on all levels. So they rape us, where they are taking in sexual energy, which is also soul energy at a different frequency than the adrenochrome. They are drinking our blood, and they are eating our flesh. It is never clear when you look and study and research the Vatican how they are very reptoid-based frequency. They are not they're not a higher level religious entity whatsoever. That's a lie. They are a very low frequency vibration. And I'm talking about the Vatican. I'm talking about the those in the higher positions within the Catholic realm. And just like the Zionists, the Jews and Zionists that are Islamic, and the Jesuits and all that, they are not human. They are of a different frequency, an interdimensional frequency that is not of human form, and therefore they look at us like the way we look at cattle or the way we look at livestock. They see us as livestock, and what they do is they covet our pineal gland. That's why they're using fluoride, because the fluoride calcifies our pineal gland so that we don't have access to the energy and frequency consciousness that comes through that. However, when they take our fluoridated children and do what they do, then they are able to produce the God gene, or that fountain of youth, or that immortality that is happening, that is continuing to allow them a free reign and the reign of terror upon us. That's all they need us for. They no longer need us for labor or taxation, because they have all the gold, they have all the wealth. That's why they have been crippling humanity with any kind of wealth resources. They have all the wealth. They have all the resources. They own everything. And they don't need our labor, because they've evolved into such the robotic technology and the AI technology that they no longer need us, except for those things: adrenochrome, transhuman vessels to do their bidding at about 500 million, and food source. That's it. So anybody else is to be depopulated. If you do not fit into a very hungry, excuse me, that was a wasp flying into my face. If you are not capable of producing their food source, which is children and babies, or to do any kind of labor or be strong enough to take on the transhuman body, then you are not necessary. So what I want to go into from there is to say, if they're after our soul, then we understand or innerstand that the ultimate battle that is being waged on us is for our souls. And that our souls are more than capable of rising above all of this insanity that's being perpetrated upon us. So we need to begin to clarify the right actions vital for us to take, so that we can actually rise beyond the matrix that they are unfolding upon us. And we've always been a part of a matrix system with them. We're always a part of a matrix system, because all that is, what you want to call the universe or the multiverse or whatever, all of that is energy, vibration, frequency on mathematics. And that creates a matrix. So whether is it a vibrant, loving matrix, or is it a low frequency, dominant control matrix, that's what are we participating in? What are others participating in? Well, right now we're not worried about others. Right now, what we know is that we're living in a control matrix with adversaries that are out to use us no matter who the adversaries are, if it's the Anunnaki, the Anus, if it is the Vulturites, if it is the Greys, if it is the Palladians, if it is the Ashtar command, whatever, if it's the AI, it doesn't matter. It's that other energies are wanting to use us as opposed to us having our freedom. So we need to understand what they're after, which is obviously our souls, the adrenochrome that comes through the body vessel, and also flesh for them to eat. As I was saying, the Catholic Church, we eat of the blood, we drink of the blood, and we eat of the flesh. And they are not meaning Jesus. They are not meaning participating in the idea of bringing in a holy God that is wonderful and gorgeous and amazing. No. They're literally saying, we, the Catholic Church, the higher ups, eat of the blood, drink of the blood of humans, and we eat of the blood of your flesh, so that we can take in the vibrancy to be the gods that we have chosen to be, that we are. They feel that they are gods, G-O-D-S, or G-O-D singular would be grantor of dominion. The Vatican, through the Caesar lines, created the word God, which means grantor of dominion. They believe that they grant us the ability to live. They also know that there is a prime creator, the ultimate divine source, the ultimate God source, if you will, and that divine source or God gives us existence. But they, the earthly God, allows us to live or chooses for us to die. They feel that they are the God of this realm, and they are acting as the God of this realm. So the God of this realm, who actually is guided and is Satan or Lucifer, whatever you want, if you want to look at it in religious terms, you're going to miss the point. I say leave the religious terms out, or thinking that these terms are religious, because they only planted that into our brainwashed minds to believe that these words are actually based on religion. And they're not. They're based on what they call themselves. And so they follow their God, which is Satan, and their other God, which is Lucifer. Satan, God of darkness, Lucifer, God of light, yin and yang. All religions and spiritualities fall under that yin and yang, light and dark mindset that is religiosity, which is under the guard of Satan. We humans are not connected to the satanic or Luciferian realm because we're humans. We are connected to the prime creator, the ultimate one, the divine source, the ultimate omnipotent, all that is creator. And that is when we are thinking and we are praying and that is who we are thinking of. However, we are following so many rituals like drinking the blood and eating the blood of Christ, which actually means that the adversaries are showing us that they drink our blood and eat our flesh because we have the God gene. And they think they're God. They're just trying to move our souls into their experience, into their bodies that they're taking on and feeding with the adrenochrome and our flesh. And if you think I'm crazy, that's okay. You haven't done the deep research yet. So is it insane? Of course it's insane. How can psychopathy not be insane? The adversaries don't have a soul. Therefore, they don't have a conscience. Therefore, they don't have morality. Therefore, they are psychopathic. They are sociopathic. They are narcissistic. They have severe and profound personality disorders. And as they have bred into humanity, they have offered us psychopathy, sociopathy, narcissism, borderline personalities, and all different personality disorders down to anxiety, depression, and so on and so forth, because we are all being bred into and have been bred into through the generations and our lineages. And therefore, we have the problems of having them inside of us to some degree and having all their agendas and poisonings and technology and electromagnetic frequencies and everything beating us down. And yet, look at us, even still, all in all, thousands of years later, being driven by these entities. We are still seeking the omnipotent, ultimate, divine source, which is connected to our souls, hugging our souls tight, and loving our souls, and loving our neighbors, and loving our friends and our families. However, we are in the very tail end of their agendas playing and working on us, because the reality, my friends, is that humanity is losing ground. More narcissism, more pedophilia, more sociopathy, more personality disorders are raging inside of our psyches. That archonic frequency that runs the adversary and is trying to take over fully the human mind, the human emotions, the human soul, and the human body is winning against us, because they've been breaking us down for many, many years, as I said, through the chemical poisoning and the electromagnetic poisoning, but also through the TV brainwashing, MK Ultra, the media, the mainstream media that is just feeding us a bunch of fodder and lies, to the wars, to the radio, to our songs, to entertainment, to the music, to our the movies, to fashion. All of it has the school systems that has been teaching us a false historical reality and false science and false everything. So we've been systematically being deprived of all truth, bringing us into the illusionary lies, and therefore we are having and have been having a war waged on us for centuries. You can think back to the Native Americans over 600 years ago with the blankets, with smallpox in the blankets, in order to kill the natives off, because the natives and all the indigenous people of North America and all over the world, the African people, the Amazonian people, the Aborigines, all of our native indigenous beings have held very clearly to the truth much longer than those of us that have been living through society, being more civilized, living with governments, living with industry, living with science, living with astronomy, all of it. We lost our souls through the illusions and the lies sooner. And as those of us, or governments, the adversaries, have been moving in all around the world to take away from, destroying culture, destroying the spiritual remembrance and memories of the people, in order to take away all possibility of spiritual evolution, expansion, and illumination. So much so that they even coined themselves, beyond Masons and Freemasons, but they coined themselves the Illuminati, because they ultimately think that all illumination belongs to them. They've been taking it away from us in order to have it for themselves. They're intellectually illuminated, but as for their souls and their bodies, their frequency, there is no illumination. And again, it's something that they want from us. So again, I will say, that we must come to understand that the ultimate battle is being waged on us for our very souls. And we still have time, though it's very, very short now, to allow our souls, who are more than capable of rising above all this insanity, all of this psychopathy that is being perpetrated upon us. It can do that. Our souls can step forward and rise in consciousness and rise in awareness, but we must clarify the right actions vital to taking so that we can leave this matrix now. So what we need to do, my friends, is we must bring our soul forward to take command of our earth vessels. And that would be our bodies and our emotions and our minds, so that our soul can come in, each one of us having our souls step forward and looking at our souls for the ultimate guidance to lead us, to lead our bodies forward, knowing what our purpose is, to making our bodies stronger and healthier so that we can move forward, to bringing our emotions back into balance, to bringing our minds back into balance and stability, not allowing it to drift so vastly out into the outer realms with the ADD and the ADHD and all the things that are going on, bringing us back into balance, guiding us forward, and showing us the way out. You see, our souls are the warriors that can and will lead us through this. If we call them forward, allow our souls to take command of our expression and our experience and move us into freedom. Our souls can move us and guide us into freedom because every part of our experience as slaves comes from our minds. It comes from our minds believing in their systems that we need laws that operate through maritime or constitutional based laws and decisions. We think that it holds justice, but it holds no justice for humanity. Our minds are captured by allopathic medicine. Our minds are captured by illness. Our minds are captured by the belief that we need money. Our minds are captured by the belief that we need our cardboard square houses to live in. Our minds are the prison. And so if we bring our souls in, we begin to already leave the prison, moving into the trajectory of freedom. Our egos are our minds. Our minds are connected and vastly immersed within our egos. And our egos are our personalities. And they are what's dominating us. And they have dominated us for far too long. We must deal with our egos. We must move to humbleness. We must move to humility. And not humility in a negative way. We must get down on our knees to rise up into our souls. We must surrender our egos in order to rise up into our souls. Our souls need to come in and leave so that our personality, although will be there, will temper our egos our souls will temper our egos into balance so that our egos can participate in pushing forward what needs to happen through these vessels that we have under the guidance of our souls, as instead of our egos being guided by systems, our egos being guided by agendas, our egos being guided by the adversaries, our egos being guided by dominance, our egos being dominated by the 7 deadly sins that our egos live and wallow in. Our souls will come in a more virtuous place, allowing higher accord to our divine prime creator. Our egos have led us into an intense mess. So therefore, it can't free us because our egos are so convoluted. They are so wounded. They are so beaten down, they are so lost, so disoriented, that they could never find their way to lead us out of this into freedom. But our souls can. Our spirits and our souls can and will, but we must call them forward and give them the allowance and the ability to guide us. Now, in order to do that, it is time to loosen our material matter, loosen our connection to our material matter, which means to move into a place of non-attachment. Some people call it detachment. It can be termed non-attachment, to not be attached to anything of this material realm. Not your bed, not your shower, not your clothing, not your hair color, not even your body. To let go of and surrender, loosening all attachment so that we can allow our souls to be in the highest presence in order to guide us to this promised land of our future, which means to live free and live abundantly, fulfilled, without adversaries, without control, without the control grid matrix, which would mean letting go of all government, letting go of all religion, letting go of all things that have been taught to us through this three-dimensional matrix control grid matrix. You cannot hold on to anything that is of this dimensional reality or this control grid matrix. Schools, food, sexuality, religion, government, commerce, none of it matters. When the soul steps forward, it can bring us into a freedom and an abundant fulfillment of all the unseen possibilities, potentialities, to take us away from the seen, degraded matrix. But you have to have the faith that what is beyond in the unseen is so pregnant with all that is beautiful and fundamentally supportive of humanity's evolution. The only thing that is required of us is, in order to do this, is that we want our freedom more than we want our lobster tail or our bed or our sofa or our house or automobile or our jobs or whatever. We have to want our freedom more than anything, even more than love. Because when we are free, love and peace and joy and all those things that we want will be there. It's always there because it lives inside of us. If we allow our minds freedom, we take our souls and we move that into position, and our souls cleanse our mind and move our minds out of the matrix where we are locked in, and allows our emotions to balance because it is in control, not our ego wounds. Taking all that we yearn for into freedom, no, it's already there. Unconditional love, unconditional peace, unconditional joy, honor, integrity, honesty, everything that you can imagine that is beautiful. And absolute prosperity is all there when we let go and allow our souls to move us into that already existing state and reality of freedom. It's already there. You see, our souls only need to take us there. So we need to relinquish any attachment to this realm, to this life, to this agenda, to this job, to even our bodies and our children, in order to, not to say that we are going to die or commit suicide. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you relinquish attachment, you are then already merging with freedom. And all that you're seeking is already there waiting for you. It is about letting go of being right. It's about letting go of being paralyzed and being afraid. Freedom must become the very thing we each must breathe in day and night, owning it, nourishing freedom and allowing it to nourish us, relishing in it as our truth and already as our victory dance now and at every moment. You take your mind, as I said at the top, you find the solutions, you embody the solutions with the highest upgrade, you leave room for the universe to bring in the unseen. Then you take all of your emotional energy and you bring in your joy, and you feel the abundance of the freedom, and you feel the expression of love, and you feel this beautiful prosperity, and you see gardens and food and animals and trees and all of nature at its utmost beauty and elegance and information, all this energy being shared back and forth, living in a world you dream of, feeling it alivened, feeling that organicness, feeling the wind and the air, and feeling the jubilation and the ecstasy, and all of it, knowing and feeling it happening now, in existence now. You already have it now. You don't own it. You're just immersed in it, and you're already living in it. You're creating it, and you're not doing it alone. Remember, it's an individual where you're doing this within yourself, but it's doing it also in a collective where other beings are doing it. The same thing also, visualizing and feeling and informing and allowing and breathing in the emotional and moving the emotional energy through. Emotions is energy in motion. Creating, you take energy in motion, it creates worlds. That's what you want to do. So you don't want to sit in apathetic fear and confusion, because those are the chains that are binding us to our enslavement. You don't want to turn the other eye. You don't want to look outward into the myopic view of all is well and God has us and there are no worries. No. That's externalizing the reality. That's externalizing your responsibility in creating this. That was what religion and government has done. That's what the New Age philosophies and spiritual movement has done. It's like turn the other cheek, or look the other direction, or look outward for the solutions, and think, well, all is well. Or no, God has us, no worries. No, God does not have us. Our souls need to have us. Our souls need to blend with us and encourage and become us as we move our minds and our emotions and our physical beingness into the trajectory of our own building and creating worlds. You see, the reality that I just said, and believing that everything is external, is the war that's being waged on our lives. And our souls, if allowed to come forward, is here to serve us. It's here to serve us. It's here to serve our minds and our emotions and our bodies, those three dimensions, and upgrade us into and remind us, helping us to remember that we are fourth dimensional beings. So knowing the greater false reality allows us to create the truer dream, or the highest reality that we can allow ourselves to be in at this time, by moving the trajectory, the timelines and the dimensions forward, avoiding looking at the false reality to know what the true reality can be if we create it together, is absolute paramount death. And death before it even comes to your body, because enslavement is just a form of being dead, of dying, of being consumed and vamped on. And then now when our bodies die, it is actually that our souls are being taken into the archonic frequency, and so that our eternalness is also ending, and we become nothing. We no longer exist anymore. So while they're granting us life in their now new trajectory, as I stated at the top about adrenochrome and taking our energy and taking our minds and bringing it all into the AI system. It is literally extinguishing our souls and taking our souls into this technological nightmare, which is the promise of eternal enslavement for the human expression. And I would rather take my life now, personally, in the belovedness of the Prime Creator, rather than having them take any more of my soul and my everything, my full and complete human beautiful expression. So we are to open our eyes inwardly, and we are to see and feel who we are within. Nothing real lives beyond our two physical eyes, but everything, my friends, and I mean everything real, lives within your third eye, the one eye, that pineal gland that looks inward, that is always looking inward. And when freed and cleansed and clear, it is constantly on, scanning the beautiful terrain of our souls, of our minds, and of our emotions, and of our beautiful bodies. And it's loving the light and the darkness, the light that we have been given and the vast dark that we are. It is loving all that we are in duality and yin and yang, but our souls are beyond yin and yang. Our souls are about all of it. And that, my friends, our souls, is truly the Prime Creator living within us, breathing and loving and bringing us into constant evolution and expansion and illumination. So we learn the lies, and we learn the illusions, and we learn the deceptions, and we upgrade. But we must let go of the lies. We can know that that's what they're putting out there. But then we let go of the lies and realize that we each are the one. And let me say it this way. When you let go of the lies, you know they're there, but they're not a part of you. And you realize that you are the one we and you have been waiting for. But you must turn into your soul and unleash its purpose into your life's focus. And your life's focus is to actually reclaim your soul, return to fourth dimensional reality within, leave all of the illusions and clear all of the debris, all of the chains from your mind, letting go and moving into non-attachment for all that is material, and allowing yourself to upgrade while living in this planetary realm until you have reached that fulfillment of purpose, so that you can literally move out of this dark dimensional reality, the third dimensional to second dimensional reality, into your fourth and fifth dimensional frequencies. Your life focus, allowing its enormity to envelop you and take you into soaring deeply into the frequency that you are. You see, the predators have nothing on you, not from that sacred place of your soul's alignment within you. And they know that. They know that there are people like me and other people who are your true humans, who have nothing but wanting the very best for all of us, who know this information, know what needs to be done, and is going to inform everyone that that's what it takes. If the information gets out there, if people hear this and share this and teach this, and it just becomes a traveling information foothold, then we stand a chance. So from the sacred place of soul's alignment, that once we do that, they know that they can do nothing to us. They are just diminished. They are ended. It's over. And they are so scared of each of us, activating our soul's intention and bringing in our soul's presence. Because once we do that, they lose the battle instantly. Yes, they do. They lose the battle instantly. So step one, in matter-of-fact steps, we must go to the core root of this. And step one is to understanding that the battle is on a spiritual level, and we are to bring our souls fully in, allowing it to be our guide and our guardian and our compass, moving us into the trajectory of looking for our solutions individually within, bringing it forward into a collective group that wants to talk about the solutions within, and then taking that energy, that soul energy, that divine energy within us, with our decisions made within our minds, getting our minds focused on it, bringing our emotional reality and our emotions into it, that energy into it, to back it up, to move it forward into creating a totally new world, a new matrix, which would be a love matrix. But it starts with owning our freedom. So it'd be a freedom matrix, no longer a control matrix, but a freedom matrix. And so with this, we know that step one is understanding that this is a spiritual battle, and what steps within that are to be taken every day, every hour, every moment, every nanosecond, to focus on our souls. If your soul is calling you to live off the land, don't wait. Go now. If your soul is calling you to pull your children out of school, don't wait. Do so now. Please never take the COVID vaccine or any other vaccine anymore. It is set to take your soul, to calcify your pineal gland, where your soul exists, to harden your heart to the point that it is narcissistic, where your soul exists in the altar of your heart. Please don't take any more poisons. Please focus on cleansing the pineal gland, cleansing your heart, detoxifying your body, and allowing and calling in, even if it is to focus. My soul is within me, operating and guiding me. My soul is within me, operating and guiding me. I am fully connected to the divine, ultimate, omnipotent creator of all that is, beyond this realm, of all that exists, in the highest energy frequency of all. This is what we are meant to do. This is step one. And how do we rise? And I close this with one notice that I dedicate this series of How Do We Rise to my daughter, Alexandra Lee Dutko, who has crossed beyond the veil into a much more loving and wonderful frequency and reality. I dedicate this to her and to her 3 children, my grandchildren, Orion Uriel, Aurora Raven, and Karma Aliyah. With the greatest of love, my beautiful family. I dedicate this, and this is Grandma Raven, rising in love. If you like what you hear, please be sure to like this video. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Subscribe to my channel and go ahead and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. See in the description how you can support my channel to grow, bringing you the best content that I can. Thank you so much for visiting and for your support. This is Raven White Dove, signing out while rising in love.